welcome to my YouTube tutorial. I'm just getting everything adjusted. I try to live stream this, and sometimes I just don't have it perfect just yet with getting the camera set up. So on YouTube, I had a request in the comments to fix this border down here, so hopefully this is showing up on it this time. I raised the camera a little bit higher. I can adjust it to the side. Let's see, I think we have everything in the picture. We do have kind of an angle, but let me know what you think of this setup. I'll play around with that and see what I can do for you. I'd like the best possible viewing experience for y'all, and maybe there's something that I'm just not, if there's something I'm not thinking about and not including, and you want to let me know, feel free, and I'll see what I can do. So I'm just wiping off my palette a little bit. I don't have any idea for a painting planned. I'm just going to jump into it today. I'm going to wet this 11 by 15 piece of Stonehenge aqua. It's a quarter sheet of paper. I had torn the large sheet into 4 pieces, into quarters. Okay, we'll let that sit for a moment while I get the palette ready. I think today I'm going to, obviously sit on my darker side with the more earth tones like usual. Sky-wise, do a light sky. Maybe I might do a dash of something drastic in the sky. We'll see. Just looking through my colors, seeing if anything jumps out and gives me inspiration. My paper is just soaking up that water, and I'm going to readjust it in a moment and then jump back into it. Let's put a little bit more of this. I use the Venetian red, which is, I believe, the same pigment, as the iron oxide, as the light red. Let's get another wetting. Let's get started. Maybe that Venetian red will be the drastic color I'm looking for in the sky. Okay, with that adjustment, let's see how we're looking. Yep, everything's still good. Okay, so I've noticed that I think I start my skies and my washes a little different than other people. I think a lot of people work from the top down, and I seem to work from the middle out, and I'm not quite sure why I do that. I think of that horizon light first. So this is raw sienna. You can see my papers, adjust them a little bit. That's why I kind of wet it and then play with the palette while that water soaks up. Okay, let's take that Venetian red or light red. This is more opaque. And I'll dash it in. Okay. Do a little bit of wash off. Grab some ultramarine. Let's go from the top down and gradiate into this. Let's get some Payne's Gray up here. Okay. Land-wise, this is just kind of Payne's Gray. I don't have too much planned for ground. Let's see. I feel like the sky isn't complete. With such opacity from that light red in the sky, I feel like there's more that I need to do. Let's mix some strong, well, light red, Venetian red, with ultramarine. We'll get a purple. Stronger concentration. Put that over top. And let's feed it in to the top side of these streaks. Now I'll take the paper towel. No blot. Just kind of soften everything in the sky. All right. ultramarine. Venetian red. Kind of needing to come up with a plan for the foreground. I really don't have one. So let's see what starts to take place. If I allow this to become a reflection here, I kind of have been doing this composition shape lately. If I allow that to happen, I feel like I need some raw sienna down here if this is going to be the water for a little bit with the sky, what we have. Okay, so we can allow that. We're still kind of in the wet and wet phase. However, with all the blotting in that sky, we did pull up quite a bit. So if we were to go up there now, we'd have a variation of wet and lost and found edges, hard and soft, which would be pretty cool. Here, I'm taking that kind of purplish mixture and just putting this very lightly in the background as a far distant trees. And then we'll bring some stuff that's closer, higher up. Could put a dash of more pigmented raw sienna back there. Though that does cause a little confliction with the raw sienna right here. So if I do that, I mean way stronger raw sienna front. And then on top of that, I feel like I like to layer burnt sienna on top of raw sienna. So let's do that here. And mix some ultramarine, Payne's gray, just at the base of this, just for kind of shadows that would take place for this ground cover. We could scratch that and allow ourselves to get a little bit of texture. So, I believe I had mentioned I wanted to do a closer tree structures and go up into the sky. So let's do that. Let's let that sit flat. See what interesting things we could have take place. I've been putting tree structures right here a lot lately. Let's switch that up. Not really cleaning the brush, just kind of mix it into that same mud that I have, ultramarine and the burnt umber. Let's use the Hake to kind of map out a tree. And I'll come in with foliage and the rigger in some areas. This is still wet down here, so get that to disperse for its shadow reflection. I could take that dark in some of these areas. I believe it would also be interesting to have maybe a grouping here. Maybe a grouping that kind of slants down, and then we have this big stark one. Just very gently with the hake, just adding a little bit of foliage and texture. Let's see what we can get to happen here. So you can see in some areas where this is I guess dry brushy, and other areas where it kind of is softening. And that's from areas that were wiped with the paper towel and lifted in more water than others. We can grab more ultramarine to add some variety in here. Let's see. So kind of come down a little bit. Sometimes it's fun. I think I mentioned this before, just to challenge myself and just see how far I can progress with the Hake brush before I go to a script liner or a rigger brush. Hake wise, if you buy just a generic store one, you might have a hard time getting these more sharper edges. That's why we use the Pro Art Ron Ranson Hake. Let's get some Payne's Gray to feed on the bottom. This is still wet down in here, so that'll diffuse nicely. Thinking a more summertime feel, you could add sap green into these leaves and whatnot. You can take the rigger and scrape in some texture. You could take the rounder side and scrape out some objects as well. I'm just going left to right for a little horizontal movement in there. Going back to this dark mixture. Could reach in here for a little bit of counter change with the trunk. Pull the trunks out against the dark. I could do the same thing down here if I wanted to. Put a few more verticals. Scrape a little bit texture to kind of bring these together. Sometimes it helps to stand up and look back. A foreground object or a scrape coming across will add an interesting element. And let's see if I can do it with the Hake. Usually you can kind of take the script or the rigger and do that there, but let's bring it up over. Moved everything. Let's see. Okay. Some really dry Payne's gray. This little dry brush effect. What I might do, since I'm not super happy with this, I'm going to bring a shape right up in here. Let's do that. This is the foreground. Okay, so bring that up here. I want to do the counter change. Light. Light. Kind of work our way up a little bit. I want to get a little bit of the edge though, for a value kind of wrap around. Now, I feel there's something very important I need to say with this. At the beginning of this video, when I put that light red in and was putting the sky in, I immediately thought, oh my God, this is going to be a disaster. It was just, for me, it just felt so awkward and weird at first. And I'm not entirely sure why. Put that right there. And I was ready to just kind of scrap it and restart the video and start a new one. But I think resist that urge sometimes and just have fun and see what can happen. I think maybe that'll help you experiment the most when you feel like things are going south. Here, I just want the underhang, or I guess it'd be the overhang of this tree. Its foliage. I'm just going to take the Hake. Put that in there. I think this painting would have stood alone without any of this foreground element stuff, but there were some marks that I wasn't too happy with, so I'm allowing myself to experiment and see what happens here. Okay, let's put a little raw sienna up in there. We'll dry it off, and I think we'll be near done with this one. You could do some scratching and whatnot, rigger work for some playing around, but I'm thinking, all right, I did get off the edge of the screen there. I'm sorry about that. I'm thinking I want to leave this one as just what can be done with just a Hake in one go without really any blow drying or anything like that. So let's see. So is it not plugged in? Not plugged in. All right, so that was a pretty fun and interesting one. With this, I think a real winner in this painting was the utilization of the paper towel. Using it to kind of correct, blend together stuff in the beginning and lift some areas. You can see some of the residual textures that were left by that. So that's a good textural effect to kind of break up a monotony of a flat wash or something. If you were to try this, feel free to follow along with it. You could come in here and play with some rigger work with the script liner and, play through it with different tones of brown and gray and add some depth there and have fun with that. You could also utilize it for a little bit of grass work and feeding a little color and texture here and some other grass work in other areas. So I hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, follow. whole comments, questions, a whole bunch of links at the bottom. There's the Patreon, there's the Etsy account, there's if you want to do any supporting of my art and whatnot. So hope you all enjoyed. If you wind up painting following this tutorial, feel free to share your work. Let me know how you did. All right, have a great day.